Jon Jones has returned to the testing pool, and he has stated, and I quote, to keep everybody's options open. Now, what do you do with Jon? See, there's no denying his greatness, and there's no making believe that in the last 13 days he got worse. He was ranked number 2 on the pound-for-pound list. He now going back into the pool unretires himself from a legal standpoint. So when the rankings come out next, should we expect to see Jon Jones in the rankings? I don't know. I would imagine not. I imagine we would take Jon at his word. The situation, though, this isn't just about words. There's some words that are legal terms. And the word retire is a legal term. A retired athlete does not stay in the pool. It comes with great expense to have somebody in the pool. If they actually go out and test him, according to the numbers that were done by USADA, and I understand this new agency, there's a lot of overlap. They're very close. It was $40,000. It was $40,000 to test a guy. There's all sorts of things that go into testing. Not only are they using it in a very experienced lab, of which we're told there's only 2 in the world, one in Salt Lake and one on the campus of UCLA, but you also have a tremendous issue with chain of custody. So you can't just take somebody's sample. Like, say you were trying to get a job and the job called for a drug test, and you go down to your local Quest Diagnostics, you pee into a cup, and you really don't know what happened after that. It got sent off somewhere, some lab, and then some paperwork comes back, it gets into a portal, it goes straight to your employer, or maybe it comes to you and you take it to the potential employer. It'd be something along these lines. But the reality is, you don't really know. Well, in sport, this has been tested before. The reason I tell you that is whoever gets the sample, whoever has Jon pee in the cup, they are the one that will keep that sample the entire time, including on the airplane. They then, when they land to go to the campus of UCLA or in Salt Lake City, they will be the one that takes it to the facility where it's tested. It's called chain of custody. And this has been tested by athletes before, where they have mailed off a sample. So now all of a sudden you're going, well, I don't know who would have interfered with that. I'm just trying to explain to you why it costs so much. And these are said to be done at random. There would be no reason to go and test Jon Jones if he's never going to fight again. There would be no reason to go test Jon Jones if he's retired. There's not only a reason, there's an absolute requirement that they test him if his name comes up at random, which is a hard thing to justify if the guy isn't going to fight again. I mean, do you see where it starts to get a little bit confusing? Yet this has been allowed to happen. Listen, Jon Jones, the contender, hard spot. Because Jon will fold you up. Jon will hurt you. You can be amongst the most dangerous men in the world, and you still are going for a ride in the van with the flashing lights. That's what Jon can do to people. So now you start putting Jon in there with number 7, number 8, number 9, which you could do if he was the contender. And what's he going to do? He's going to do fun fights? Nobody does fun fights. In fact, we've only attempted to do that one time. It was with somebody called Conor McGregor, and when that fight fell through, Conor has told anybody willing to listen, I will fight again, I want to fight again, they're not returning my phone calls. Well, you see where it becomes a problem? We're going to main event you on a pay-per-view, which is a spot that is largely reserved for champions or championship fights. If we're going to make an exception around that, at a minimum, historically speaking, it's a number 1 contenders match. Like, there's something special on it, which is the reason that it gets to be known as the main attraction of the evening. But if Jon going in is telling us, I'm not going to fight Tom, then putting Jon in one of these special fights, if not for a championship, and if not for a contendership, is it a case of I will fight and I will fight for a title as long as it's not Tom? If Tom gets beat, I will come back. Look, I don't know the answers to these questions. I'm sharing for you What an oddly unique situation we're in. I have pushed back strongly on the idea of Tom versus Surreal. I think that that would be a mistake. I think that that would be regretted. In the build to the fight, during the fight, and in the aftermath. Therefore, I think that that would be regretted. I think Alex Pereira is a much more interesting idea. But set both of those concepts to the side briefly. The bottom line is we don't have anybody, at least per a public announcement, for Tom Aspinall. So it is a very unique situation where if Jon comes back to life, which it seems like he did, he had 13 days, he rethought it, he sobers up, whatever it was that led him to take the first step needed, which is not training camp. It's not assembling your corner. The first step required would be to re-enter the pool, to become eligible. And in this spot, it would seem, with that spot still open, with Madison Square Garden in November still approaching, it would seem that Jon still could be the right answer, but you got one issue, and it's a massive one. You have one massive problem, which is the trust between Jon Jones and you. This is the biggest story in MMA right now, at least in theory. This is the biggest story and the biggest news that we had break over our holiday weekend, at least in theory. This is currently on the websites that I go to, Elbow, Mania, story number 4. It is not even the top of the page in a fairly uneventful week. And I argue it's not at the top of the page because most people don't know what it means. I go into the category of most people. I don't know what this represents, the returning to the pool. The UFC allowing the return to the pool, right? Like that takes a few steps and they had to sign off on this somewhere. So if deep in their soul, the UFC feels, hey, we're not going to do business with this guy. We already tried. We already waited from November of last, we waited 8 months. Well, now it's 8 months and 13 days and somebody has allowed him into the pool. And I think that that must represent something. Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones is still an intriguing fight. Like that hasn't gone away, but neither has the announcement of Tom going to fight someone else. It's been speculated. Largely that is believed, and even by my partners over at DraftKings, they believe that's going to be Surreal. I'm stepping in with kind of a hot take and telling you, I think Alex is at play. But as time goes by, it feels like neither one of those options is correct. I don't think they're going to go to Almeida right now. I think Almeida is very close, and I'm very confident they're not going to go to Volkov right now. So who's left? Jon re-entered the testing pool. Why? But before you answer that, the UFC allowed Jon to re-enter the testing pool. Why? And before you go and make a fight with Jon versus Tom or Jon versus Alex or Jon versus anybody, we've got to rectify one big problem, which is trust. This sport and this business runs off of trust. Eventually, the paperwork will catch up. But you got to be able to make a phone call. You got to be able to send a text because you're sending 10 and 12 others at the same time while you're sitting in a meeting. It's just hectic and there's chaos and you're busy. And you got to be able to go quick and you got to have trust. And right now, not only is there a trust factor, we don't even know what returning to the testing pool, at least within Jon's mind, we don't even know what it means.